Hello and welcome to our first Twitter. No, I keep saying Twitter, Twitch stream in a while. As you can see, I'm a bit rusty. I'm even turned into a little GIF of myself rather than a picture. But yeah, I'm Ricky, and as always, I'm joined by Adam, and tonight we're joined by Ray. Do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Ray. I'm a freelance illustrator and comic creator from Utah. So across the pond, I guess. and I created the Manderfield Devil, and it's launched on Kickstarter right now. It's a 37-page one-shot comic. It's like a noir murder mystery meets cautionary fantasy, and it's uh, kind of neat. So that's about me.
I'm trying to adjust my camera now. Yes, thank you for coming on. We have checked out the comic as well, and we have really enjoyed it. Uh,
Yay!
we'll go to, probably go into quite a great bit of detail about how much we enjoyed it afterwards. But how did you first discover illustration and comic books?
I've been drawing since I could hold a pencil. I feel like a lot of artists say that, but um, I have always loved telling stories with my art. And since I was a little kid, I used to put together little slideshows, like out of paper, and like would hold them up from behind the couch and like give little presentations about stories. And I also have a bunch of little stapled together books that I drew and then had my mom like write the words for. So I've always loved drawing in association with storytelling, which I think is essentially what illustration is. Um, and yeah, like I dabbled in other things, other creative things like theater, and I started actually going to school for animation, but quickly discovered that I wanted to be doing more drawing than like technical stuff, like animation expects you to do. So I switched over to illustration and doing it ever since.
You you were studying in. You've only just recently finished your university course, right? How was that
Yes.
doing that during COVID as well?
Oh, it was actually kind of nice because I deal with like a chronic illness. I have endometriosis,
Hmm.
and it causes me to have chronic pain.
Yeah.
And so dealing with that and going to classes was really difficult. But
Mm.
with the pandemic, I was able to actually not go to campus and still attend class. And so for me, it was honestly a break, and it really helped me to amp up my productivity. I'm working from home, so it was good. It was also, I mean, crazy, but it was still actually working well for me.
As long as it works well. We've ourselves, me and Ricky, have been working from home for a while. We find the same actually. I literally just work in my kitchen just over there. So I'm not showing the
Nice.
kitchen because this is the tidiest part of my house. So uh, no kidding. He knows. Ricky knows. Um, but yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, so your interest was in animation initially,
Yeah.
but obviously illustration comes with it. So I can kind of I can tell that from the work. I mean, I'm guessing as you studied illustration, animation, sequential work, and repetition must have come natural because of storyboarding as well. Because we do speak to a lot of people who are interested in illustration, but kind of like me, I draw a little bit, but I can't do sequential. I just find I get bored after one. Why draw the same person again? Just copy and paste. Just let the people
Yeah,
make it.
yeah.
So that must, I guess, comic book must have come natural to you then, since you were already storyboarding. I guess.
Yeah. It was kind of it felt like a natural transition. I didn't go very far into animation at the university because before I transferred, but I did do some little animation tests and things. But I've always had a fascination with animation. I feel like I'm more of a animation nerd. I'm better. I know more animations than I do comics, which makes me feel kind of like a noob. But I I feel like that the medium totally translates really well
Mm.
to comics, and yes, like for me, it was basically like I can't put forth enough energy to put together an animation, but I can put forth the energy that's needed to make a comic, and so it's kind of like a natural solution for me.
I mean, comic books really are just taking the best moments in a moving picture, really, isn't it? In your head, anyway. So, I guess that works. I was going to ask something then. Oh, the with the Kickstarter, you've got little animations there. Did you put those together yourself?
No, my husband did. He's finished his degree in animation, so he's an actual storyboard artist, and he does animation work for his full-time job. So he put that together for me.
It works really well.
Very nitpickily like directed all of it, but but he did all the work. So.
That's cool. The stuff you sent over before we had a look, and it drove me mad actually. I don't know if you noticed I don't know if you've had a look on our Facebook page. I was putting a post together last night. I was swearing under my breath swearing under my breath because I couldn't work out. It was telling me Facebook wouldn't allow me to post something, and I was like, what could it be? Have I too many posts, too many links, and it was it didn't like your website or ours.
Oh yeah, that's been a real problem. Honestly, I haven't been able to post my website link on Instagram or on Facebook, and it's
Apparently you're soliciting, or you're not publish. Was it your? It's unsolicited something or other. I'm like, what? That's
yeah.
that's
I don't know what the problem
censorship
is.
right there.
I've tried to fight them on it, and I mean, of course, nobody's paying attention to me, so like, I don't know what to do about that problem.
Crazy.
I've just reverted to using a link tree in all of my bios and things like that. But
As long as you've got them all linked together, people can find you anyway.
There's I noticed it the first time I started noticing it was when we used to promote people coming to the convention on Instagram. And Instagram really doesn't like you saying, hey, this person's coming, and it's like, are you promoting something?
yeah.
You should be paying us if you promoted something.
Exactly.
Free press,
Instagram and Facebook have really been going downhill, in my opinion, as far as like being creator friendly toward creators and growing your audience and things. It's been
I regularly troll through Facebook and Twitter to keep an eye on our feeds, and I have noticed that it is slammed with ads. It's just bashing Facebook and Twitter now, but it's just mostly Facebook. I kid you not. I was trying to look through people's through my feed to see who's liked what, and it was George Takei, which is fine. Happy to see George Takei pop up. But it was like comic book resource, and it was targeted ads, and I was like, where are my friends? Where have they all gone?
Yeah.
Anyway, right over.
It's like I make my I am still here. I've hidden myself because I'm not a sign. So I'll just be a disembodied voice. Sorry, folks. But like I was quite early adopter of Instagram, knowing it was back iOS only and everything, and it used to be great because you would follow artists and you would see everything they posted, and then when Facebook took over with their algorithm, it'd be like, where have all the artists gone? Why am I only seeing people's legs and food?
We regularly like to bash the people that promote our stuff. We're constantly bad-mouthing Twitch when we shouldn't. Anyway, I know the reason I was going to say, looking through the stuff you sent over for us to check out, I read your comic book last night, and I genuinely thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, I'm just another white guy reading, reviewing somebody's comic book, so I know my views are personal, but I genuinely I thought it was very level in terms of like there was no depths. I mean, you sometimes read people's work and you enjoy it for the energy, and I genuinely thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I thought it was nice and solid all the way through. I liked the twists and turns. The art was fantastic, and I love the little plates in between. The little kind of chapter breaks almost. Very me and Ricky was saying very Mignola-esque. I'm not sure if that was an influence.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
The snake one especially, and the little bird. I've just gushing now.
I tried to have a look at it earlier. I didn't have enough time, and I know Simon's watching, so I'm going to say this now. Simon was a bit too efficient with moving things in the mailbox earlier, so when I went back to it, I couldn't find it again quickly. But it was a bit too small to read on my phone. But I was flicking through, and it looks absolutely fantastic. Like straight away, I could feel it was like reading something from like BPRD or Hellboy. It looks great, and I love those books. So it just really was a nice looking book.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it was genuinely really well paced. You sometimes expect cheese, and you just can't accept it, But I genuinely thought it was very. I mean, you probably know this yourself. I'm the same. Me and Ricky the same. We bounce ideas off each other until things sound right. But you've got to be proud of the work, basically. I'm sure you are, of course. But
Thank you so
genuinely
much.
enjoyed it. I kickstarted it for with you as well, as I want the sticker. The third sticker.
Yay. Yeah.
I saw it
Awesome.
was finishing tomorrow, I think. So I was like, getting that now.
So
Yep.
with that being said, the Kickstarter link is in the chat. I will put it in there again. No, that's your Instagram and stuff. But yeah, the Kickstarter tweet is in the chat. But as we were saying about your influences and like we thought it reminded us of Mignola. What were your other influences in comics?
So, I previously, before Manderfield, have pretty traditionally worked in a very flat, just line-based style with flat color, and I wanted to challenge myself to use heavier black shadows like Mignola because I am a very big fan of Hellboy and love Mignola's work, and so I wanted to try and adapt similar styles to my own, and I also was influenced by Dean Ormston from Black Hammer.
Yeah.
And yeah. So I like both those artists, and I wanted to try to like experiment with that style, and so I created Manderfield Devil to like try and just basically create this small project where I could force myself out of my comfort zone and explore that style. I was also influenced by old like 1930s and 40s rubber hose cartoons, like Felix the Cat and Betty Boop, and I've gotten Astro Boy reference for like
Yes.
Leslie's
Leslie looks very
cartoons.
much like yes. I
Yeah.
thought so. I love that.
Yeah. So I was trying to make everything look a little bit rubber hosey and cartoony because that I was really heavily influenced also by one of my favorite shows of all time is Over the Garden Wall. It's a Cartoon Network miniseries, and it's my favorite. And they also really lean into that rubber hose cartoon style, and I feel like it lends itself so well to freaky things. So I tried to weave that in to the Manderfield Devil to make it feel a little bit more creepy, a little bit more retro. And yeah, I also had been watching a lot of The Twilight Zone, and like wanted it to look noir. All of those meshed together.
It works. I definitely saw the Astro Boy influences. What you said about Felix the Cat, I remember watching the Felix the Cat movie once when I was really, really ill. I do not recommend it. No, I had the flu and I had like a fever, and I was I was watching it. I borrowed it from the local library, and I don't know whether I had it on a loop or something. I just remember seeing it in repeat in my brain for hours
Wow.
afterwards. It's terrible.
That sounds
You know what it's like.
freaky.
It's trippy anyway. So
Yeah.
Autumn Dags has said that she loves Over the Garden Wall. Amazing show.
Yeah,
So,
it's my favorite show of all time.
how did you come upon the idea then, specifically for Manderfield?
It's kind of a stupid story. I
love
laugh
stupid
at
stories.
it. There's a little town in between where I live in Provo, Utah, which is like in the center of Utah, and then you start driving down south, and as you're approaching Cedar City, on the way there, there's a town called Manderfield, so it's a real place. And my friends and I, we were just on a road trip down that way, and we decided to pull off and check out this town and see what it was all about. And We pull in, there was like 5 houses, and then there was just this sign that said, "Welcome to Manderfield, population 50, cows 500." And so there's a lot of cows there.
We're gonna Google it
And
while we talk.
then, yeah. And that just got us all like talking about these, stupid, silly things on the trip, and it got us thinking about like, well, what if, what if the men and the cows came together to make minotaurs in the town? And so like
Nothing else
super
to do?
weird, super stupid. Mean no disrespect toward Manderfield, don't know very much about the town itself, but like that's
Now
where it
rumors
came
are
from.
starting already.
Yeah, yeah. So like I don't know. And then like that like really got my mind thinking, because I thought having a minotaur in the desert was a really cool idea, especially with I later, pretty soon after that trip, went to Park City and saw they have a mining museum there, and I went and checked it out, and it was a really cool museum. It like takes you through these like fake mine shafts and talks all about mining, and I thought like, man, wouldn't it be cool if there was like this labyrinth made out of a mine where a minotaur was like trapped in. And so that's where like really started to roll forward, and it kept going from there. It's evolved quite a bit over time. I can keep talking about that, or you can ask me more questions.
No, we've got a couple of, well, Swansea's famous for its mining and its oysters apparently as well, and its coal. Sorry, slate and its coal. In fact, apparently I don't know if it's still true, but the White House roof is covered with Swansea slate. The town we're from.
It's a city, Adam. But no, we totally get that. The comic book that we co-wrote together is based on Swansea, but all these little fictional things going along those angles of what if, and those are the best stories you could come up with. Some fun stuff.
It's crazy when you find that there's a it's crazy when you find there's a crazy story linked to Swansea, to a town. You know, we found out there's loads of weird history that the city has. And it was the only place the Romans didn't try bothering with when they came here, even though it's been a natural harbour for centuries. Where Ricky lives, Neath, that's where they actually decided to settle, but they never came near Swansea. So we used that in our stories as well. You know, we had a protector to keep them away. So sounds like we're going to start some legends with Manderfield. There are definitely people who romance some cows. And now in mines in Manderfield, there are minotaurs.
Yeah.
I feel like it's natural. It's got to spread the word to people.
I feel like a lot of stories totally do start that way, where it's like, stupid idea, it doesn't mean anything, but then it just like works in your mind until it becomes something. And
yes,
yeah.
I think when it's hubris, you kind of just go haha, laugh it off, and they go, no, actually, no, there's a tenuous link there. Let's explore it.
And the ones that, and the silly stories that stick there are the ones that become the ones that you dwell on, that you flesh out, and they become more just because they just live with you. And it could start out as something really stupid, like, what if the men were cows?
Yeah.
What if the cows are men? We have in a thing that Ricky and I are working on, we have a minotaur. His name's Tony, because that's so lazy. But he is the worst minotaur ever because he's terrified of hedge mazes. And he's constantly falling into puns, basically, that are bull related. You know, so there's a point where he and his friend, who's a human, end up in a fine China store, and he doesn't realize because he's got a bunch of shopping bags. And when he realizes where he is, he starts having a panic attack because he's like, "What have you done?" I'm literally a bull in a China shop. You know, things like that.
So sounds like fun.
So this is a question we always put out to everyone: is what are your preferred methods for creating? Do you use traditional methods? Are you a pen and paper kind of person, or are you all digital? Or are you a hybrid?
Yeah. I like to start traditionally in my sketchbook because that is a space where I feel like I'm most fluid. And so I'll like draw concepts and ideas in my sketchbook, just little scribbly things. But I'll move pretty quickly from that stage into digital just because it's so much easier to manipulate. I feel like my process is more about building with the materials, like, I mean, dumping like a box of bricks onto the table and like figuring out how to compile it and build it together rather than like premeditatively like putting it together. And I think digital lends itself a lot more to that trial and error process than physical mediums. Although I do prefer how physical mediums look, and so I want to like re-implement that into my work in the future. But yeah, right now I'm primarily digital, and I did all of the Manderfield Devil digitally in Photoshop.
I was just going to ask which platform you used.
Yeah. Photoshop on a Cintiq.
There we go. It's weird. We do speak to different people. Us being writers, I mean, I just have millions of pens and pencils everywhere. I literally have like 2 pens in front of me and some behind me.
Awesome.
Yeah, I get itchy when I think I have to hold a pen. It's a Japanese drawing pen, but I like writing with it. We do speak to different people, and they say different things. They both have. There's very rarely a dislike for one or the other, but it's weird how many people prefer one medium for the same reasons that other people like the other medium. You know.
Yeah.
So
They
some
totally
people
do just
prefer-
lend themselves to different creative styles and
Yeah.
approaches. So I don't think there's any wrong answer.
No, that's literally why they're available. And so there can't be any wrong answers. So then, obviously the book was completely written by you, inked, penciled, inked, colored by you as well. So you're multifaceted as well. Do you find the whole project do you like doing it yourself? Do you enjoy
I do, yes. I am a graphic designer by like that's my day job, and so I love the design side of things. I love working with type. I'm not the best at it, but I enjoy it. I actually made the font inside the book for all the speech bubbles. Regular talking was all made by me. Oasis's speech bubbles were a slightly different font that I stole from Blambot. I got a lot of other like extra things from Blambot.
That's great.
Yeah. I just got his book in the mail about lettering, so I'm excited about that. Cool. But anyway, I do love like all of the different aspects of creating a comic. Like I love writing it, and I love figuring out the layouts for it, and I love drawing it and coloring it, and then I also am like persnickety about the lettering, and so yeah, I like having full control of the whole product, which I think is a good and bad thing.
Yeah.
Means I probably won't finish a whole lot of things from the ground up that way. I'll probably have to lend out or hire out some help if I want to create bigger things.
Since we're usually the people that start the idea, we're used to the fact that we have to throw ourselves at to the mercy of the artists. We do try sometimes thumbnailing stuff, and
They don't like it.
It's like this is specifically what I mean. Just in this panel, just so that you don't confuse yourself. Just so you don't have to fret about it. We know it works. No, don't do that. Don't show us that stuff. Don't show us that stuff. We want to guess, and then you have to kind of see what they've done. They've inked it and finished it, and you're like, yeah, that's great. Usually it's great, but it's not the other thing.
It's not exactly what you wanted. Yeah.
That's not always the case, I have to admit. Usually it's like 99.9% of the time it's,
Yeah. Yeah.
But
there is something. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, because like you mentioned about lettering and everything, and it's one of those things that great lettering goes unnoticed, and it's only when you see bad lettering that it's like, oh wow, that's why people say it, like good lettering goes unnoticed, because that's just doesn't work. So like that is quite like to write, draw, letter, and put it. I'm guessing put it all together as a package. That's quite a feat to do.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
How long did it take you to start and finish Manderville? Manderville?
So
Manderfield.
yes, yeah. I started it. I think officially started writing it in 2018. And then I finished writing it my junior year of college, which was like end of 2019. And then I drew it all through 2020 and into 2021 and published it just in June of this year. So it took a while. I don't know exactly like how many hours I poured into it because it was intermixed with all of my other capstone projects and things for college. And so I don't know exactly how long it took me, but like roughly 2 years-ish, 3 years almost.
Needs to be physical. You know, needs to be that last step.
So I'm just looking at the Kickstarter now, and when did you launch?
I launched yesterday.
Wow, because it's up to I'm seeing in pounds, so it's up to like almost £2,000. So it's about halfway there. So everyone go, and I'll drop the link again now. But go and check out the go check
Kickstarter.
the Kickstarter.
I was pleasantly surprised when I went on there earlier and found that it was about 50% backed already. That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, we promoted somebody else a little while back, and they were they were successful. They went over their expected goal, but I could see them worried for a long time. They only had a couple of days left, and I think good projects people believe in and they do get backed. And that's the benefit of Kickstarter. There's so many people out there, and it costs so little to support something worthwhile. So I don't think I've seen anything that hasn't been backed. But really, there's no real fear in some ways because you can always just try again. I know it feels maybe a bit dirty doing it a second time, but I am stoked that it's already getting almost past halfway now, and you've got what 29 days left.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that because people are like, I got 29 days.
Back it now.
Yeah.
I mean, the next 3 days between now and October 22nd is the best time to do it. I have a early bird offer right now. It's $15. I don't know how many pounds that is, but it's $15 for the book.
Yeah, it's about. I think it was about 11 pounds, 13 pounds or something like that.
13,
so
okay, yeah. That doesn't include shipping, and I know shipping sucks right now, so just keep that in mind. I also posted some estimates on the campaign page, but
honestly, I don't think it's as bad as. Weirdly, it's more expensive in Europe to ship things into the UK. I was trying to buy a face mask for my daughter, like just a small face mask, €6, which is I don't know how much in pounds.
yeah.
35 euros to ship a €6 face mask, and I was like, I don't even know what that is in pounds. Is that more? Is that less? Our economy is greatest at the moment, so I was like, do I need to move home and then remortgage the home just to pay for this?
Yeah.
And like the other thing about like running a Kickstarter as well, like don't sit on it because the creators are probably sitting there watching it, and it's that thing of once it gets to the goal, it's like, oh, it's done, but it's not done. But obviously, it's not done. But it takes some of that pressure off, doesn't it? And you can start looking at what you're gonna do next. So,
I think you had a great idea in doing early bird options as well. That sticker being only available until tomorrow was the thing that kind of went, yeah, I'm doing that today.
Yeah.
It's really great. So we had some experience with Kickstarter with our last comic, so it is it's worthwhile. It's exhausting, as you know, but I think it's worthwhile. I mean, I'm not going to spoil anything. Manderfield obviously ends a certain way. Is there plans already to go back to it, or what's the next step?
I've been thinking about that because a lot of people have expressed interest in seeing the world be expanded on. I think I would love to uh, experiment more with stories about Oasis, the witch. I think I want to uh, put her in more situations. I think it'd be really interesting to keep her stationary in wherever Manderfield is. And have like time progress on and like somewhere like way in the future she's still there,
Hmm.
she's still in charge of this world like under the ground, and I think that'd be interesting to play around with. I also am interested to see and explore a little bit more about like what happens to Hogan after this experience and what he decides to do with his life after that. He's kind of he's a really Hellboy character already as it is, in a lot of ways. I think it'd be fun to turn him more into like an inspector, normal things like Hellboy, but actually like maybe be a little bit more enthusiastic about it. But I don't know. I don't know what to do with him. But I am interested in expanding on the world someday.
That, that's cool. You kind of remind me of a little bit of one of uh, Mignola's other characters, Baltimore as well,
Yeah,
in that
yeah.
he's. I mean, obviously Hogan comes from a different. He's obviously doesn't believe, but that kind of drive that Baltimore has, that curiosity. Obviously, with Baltimore ends up with him well losing part of his body, but and having to carry around a giant harpoon. But I was curious as well about Hogan and Leslie and the characters basically. How did you come about making the characters? Were they just did they just pop out of the air? Or were they trial and error?
They evolved over time. Like the main cast of characters has pretty much been the same from very early on. There was always going to be a Minotaur of some kind. He was always going to be considered like the townsfolk were going to thought that he was the devil. And then there was always a girl that was involved somehow with the Minotaur, and then this random newcomer from out of town come to like experience it all and see what it was all about. At first, Hogan was a cowboy just like wandering into town. Oasis was an active part of the community, but she was also a witch. She was originally gonna be Navajo, but I like evolved into different ideas past that, just so that I was like, influenced by, but not uh, disrespectful to their culture. So, uh, and then Leslie, she started off a lot older. She was a young woman, and Charles, the Minotaur, was not her brother. Uh, he was like a love interest to her. Um, anyway, so they've evolved and changed a lot, as characters and like what their driving motives are. Um, and like Leslie like totally turned out to be a lot more sinister in the end. Um, but generally, like their basic characters did sort of just pop in.
Mhm. I think sometimes when something's right. If it's a problem, it just keeps eating at you, doesn't it? But if it's right, you
Yeah,
just
yeah.
grow upon it. I
There's something. Sorry.
No, 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 it's fine. Go on.
There's something to me that this is totally a habit that I have, where I will latch on to ideas pretty early on in a story, most particularly characters. Like I develop this affinity toward these characters. Um, and then I just kind of like to try and make them work, like try to make the story work around them. I think like there's something kind of magical about that, where it's like you've discovered these characters less than creating them.
Mhm.
I feel like that's one of the coolest like parts of creating to me, is more like this assembly process of things that just are there, and you're just taking them and turning them into ideas.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. I mean, if you create characters simply for a theme or story, they're almost bound to that story, however long it may
Mm.
go on for. But that's it. They're useful for that story. If you can just come up with somebody, me and Ricky have come up with loads of ideas for scripts and things, and I came up with an idea for a character called the Squibs. Like a damp squib, like something that's somebody's developed powers, but they're not Superman. They're the kid that can like set fire to themselves slightly, you know. And I thought, what about these powers that aren't useless, but just can't do any? You can't do any good with them. You can't just go back to your normal job, but you can't
Yeah.
go fight crime. You know what you do, and so you have to be forced into like some sort of police force in a way. I just thought it'd be cool if I just randomly came up with abilities these people would have, and then go, how would they deal with big bad like that? You know. So
Yeah.
it's cool. Yeah, I like I said, I really did enjoy. Actually, losing my voice. I really did enjoy reading that. I was going to ask something else then, but I can't remember what it was. Um, it wasn't that. It was. I was just going to go to something else. What? So are you dabbling with the comic books at the moment? Do you read comic books at the moment?
I do, yeah. I'm currently rereading Jeff Smith's Bone from the very beginning because that was the first comic I ever like read, but I didn't read the entire series because I only had what was available in my junior high classroom at the time. So I've purchased the big old compendium and have been slowly working my way through it. I also recently finished Sweet Tooth by Jeff Lemire, also the compendium, and let's see, a handful of other indie things. There's a book called Paris 2119, which was like a crowdfunded indie comic one shot that is like this really interesting solar punk future that I really appreciated. Yeah, those are a few.
I did love Bone. I didn't know what I was expecting to see when I got into it, and it just, well, you know, from reading it yourself, it almost defies description. If you try describing it, it just does not work. You try and explain this, these weird bone-looking creatures, these weird like
Yeah.
white Smurfs,
Yeah.
which kicked out of their homeland basically, but there's a whole like valley of normal people, and they're just going under. I, just Google it, people. It's a fantastic book. It really is. It just defies convention. It defies explaining as well. It seems, but yeah, I know it's cool. So you're kind of on you're on your journey into comic books then. Some good stuff there. I'm like 99% superheroes. When we call it a pull, you know, when you go to your comic shop and you put something on
Yeah,
standing order.
yeah.
So my pull is about 9% superheroes, but I do dabble.
Awesome.
During lockdown, because our comic shop had to close because of lockdown and shipping, I basically just said, "What have you got?" and just spent hundreds of pounds on the things. I just picked up volume 4 of Akira as well, which is something.
Awesome. Yeah, that's one I need to read.
Akira's so good. And if you've seen the anime as well, it just go that the anime is spectacular, but you just realize the manga is just huge.
Balls.
Kind
Yeah.
of worried now. I've only got two big books left to go, and I know I'll just shoot through them, and that'll be the end. Read them again, I guess. Are you then going to be looking to be more active in the comic scene then? Are you?
I am. Yeah, that's my hope. I want to work it up to a point where it's like my main gig. I want to be drawing and writing comics full time, ideally. Although I also like fully anticipate that I'll be doing I feel like the best description for what I want to be doing is just freelance illustration, but with an emphasis on comics. So yeah, I'm trying to break into that industry. I would love to work more on other comics and get my name established in the industry.
Think, um, I think you got a good solid start with your first book as well. I genuinely
Thank
mean
you.
that. What's the comic scene like in Utah then, and especially in Provo then? Is it noticeable, or is it kind of underground?
There's a small community of us. I'd say like the community branches out towards Salt Lake and it's like the whole Utah Valley and Salt Lake valleys. But most of the people who are part of it, it's not what they do. It's not the only thing they do. It's mostly like a passion thing. But there's a pretty good like writing community, and I've visited like several comic book shops for Free Comic Book Day and sat and tabled there, and done things like that. We also have a very large comic convention every year. It's Salt Lake Fanix because they couldn't call it Comic-Con.
Because they got sued.
Yep.
I think we know someone else who's like involved with the scene over that way. Trent Hunsaker used to own Death Ray Comics in Salt Lake somewhere, I think, and he does a podcast on the Smodcast network, Nethead. So yeah, I think he's involved with stuff over that way as well. We just sent him our book years ago, and he spoke about it on his podcast. So
He pronounced Swansea wrong. The only thing I remember about that podcast is he said Swansea. I was like,
Swansea.
Swansea.
but
Card from me, Trent. It's probably worth hitting up, branching out and hitting up with people like that as well. Like Jen, you've got something solid there. I'm sure there are loads of great artists out and writers out there as well. So hopefully it will grow, and you'll be ahead of it. Then you'll be like, and we'll be talking about you in years to come. We'll be like, do you remember we spoke to Ray when she was a nobody, and now she won't answer our calls.
You can make Utah the new Seattle is where all the creators are at the moment, isn't it? So yeah, you can make Salt Lake the new Seattle.
So I was actually going to ask, it just reminded me. So I know obviously Manderfield is a real place, as we found out. Well, you already knew. We found out. I'm guessing Utah's a big, and Provo, I guess, is a big part of your image with comics. Then is that going to continue? Is a lot of influence there?
I grew up in Utah. I've lived in Utah my whole life, and Utah is really awesome because it has a lot of beautiful, diverse landscapes. It was also founded by pioneers, and so there's a really like specific way that each town is set up. They all have like an old center street section that's like fun and old, like pioneer style meets old mining town, and so pretty much any town that you drive through is going to have one of those strips with these old buildings on it. And so Manderfield was heavily inspired. The fictional town that I established based on the real town has like an actual town center, and that was inspired by a little town called Heber in Utah. And so yes, like on top of that, there's also a really diverse landscape. We have the Rocky Mountains, and we have Moab and Arches National Park in Goblin Valley, which are these beautiful red rock formations. And I have another story that I've been developing since high school. It's called 13 Light Years Away. It's a series that I hope to produce in the next couple years. That is like a Studio Ghibli meets Star Wars type story, and it takes place on a planet that I created that is really heavily influenced from those desert landscapes from Utah and northern Arizona and southern Colorado, like Four Corners area is really big influence.
Ricky, you've ever gone through Utah? Because you've been to Colorado and you've been to California.
No, I haven't been to Utah. Colorado's the closest, I think. No.
Colorado's beautiful. Yeah.
I've been. Swansea is, if you're looking at the map, Swansea's there. I've lived there. And I've got a few places here, all within a couple of 100 miles.
Wow. Have you ever been to the U.S.?
I've never left the UK.
Wow.
I've never had the chance. I've never had the money. So
yeah.
And now I have the money and the chance.
The world shut down.
But then everything's locked down.
But yeah, I worked years ago now, in a summer camp just outside Philadelphia. So I was in the States for about 3 months at that point. Which was fun because I got to see a lot of the East Coast. And then I went to Colorado. I went back to university as a mature student and done a summer program in Colorado in Colorado State University in Fort Collins, so I kind of lived in Fort Collins for a month. Got to see bits of Colorado. It's a really lovely place. So
Yeah, I haven't fully really explored Colorado, even though it's like right next door. I've only driven through like the southern corner of it near Utah. So I know like a little bit about what Colorado's like, but yet to really thoroughly explore it.
But so
Vast big landscape.
what kinds of things are you watching and at the moment then? What outside of comics and everything? Just what culture are you absorbing?
I've been watching Star Trek Next Generation. And I
You've won Adam over now.
yeah. I like old things, so I like to dig up old radio shows. I've listened through X-1 like 3 times now, and I just finished Have Gun Will Travel, and so I listen to a lot of old radio shows. I also mentioned The Twilight Zone, and then Star Trek. I guess like the newest things I've seen lately, I've been watching Foundation.
Yes, yeah.
It's pretty good. I had some beefs with like the way that they ended the second 2 episodes in the series, but it's been picking back up, and it's a really thoroughly interesting and engaging world so far. Gonna go see Dune tonight, so excited about that.
I had that moment there where I was like, you better get going. Oh yeah, it's like 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
We went to see, on a whim, we went to see Venom 2 on Tuesday in
Nice.
his hometown. It was great, actually. It was weird because it was
It's not
it
great.
was fun. It's not great. It's not bad either. It's just
it's worth a watch.
An
but
escape. Yeah, it's an escape from a lot of the bigger films with a lot more to lose in some ways.
Yeah. I went and saw it too. My husband and we went and saw it like last week, and we enjoyed it for what it was. Like if you step back and you're like, okay, this is basically a rom-com, and you enjoy it a lot more.
Yeah. Like someone asked me, I told someone in work that I went to watch it, and they asked me about it, and I went, it's all right. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible. And they went, is it better than the first one? I went, yes. And they went, because I really hated the first one, and and then I turned around and told them, don't go and watch it. If you hated the first one, you will not enjoy it. Even though it's better than the first one, it's just that thing of, if you didn't like the first one, you're not gonna like it.
Yeah, it's definitely its own niche. Like it's a very specific.
Yeah, I like that they went. Normally with a sequel you go bigger. I like that they went smaller with the story. It just made it feel a bit more. Even though it's
approachable.
Yeah, and it was just like, if they'd gone bigger with Carnage, it's like, well, one, you're never gonna get a PG-13 rating or 15, whatever it was, because Carnage needs to kill a lot of people, and but like, yeah, it was all right. I leaned over to Adam when we were in the cinema, and because in the first few seconds, it really took me out of the moment, because they put up Cletus Cassidy, said 1996, and he looks as if he's about 16-year-old, and it's like, we know what Woody Harrelson looks like. We know what he looked like in 1996, and he didn't look 16 years old.
Kind of like Woody Harrelson does now. Only had less hair, actually. No, I enjoyed it. It was weird seeing a lot of British actors in there as well. You had Stephen Graham and Reece Shearsmith. It was weird because Reece Shearsmith was in a lot of
dark
black comedies. We've got a show called The League of Gentlemen, which is very, very, you know, Little Britain. That's all. It's kind of like that kind of twisted British sense of humor, with a little less racism, and a lot more deliberately unexplained events. It's just this dark, macabre, black comedy set in a weird town that's based on one of our most racist, named after one of our most racist comedians, actual comedians. But yes, and then seeing him as a priest doing an American accent at the end of a film was like, I know the guy, but yeah, I know it's weird. Normally we ask people, what conventions have you gone to recently? Or what conventions are you going to? I mean, obviously, I'm guessing you may be gearing up for that kind of stuff soon. But as you've had not much experience, I guess, at least as a guest or as a vendor, we have to ask you something else.
Yeah, I haven't been able to table at any conventions. I have tabled in the past at my local convention, at Salt Lake Comic Con or FanX or whatever you want to call it. I tabled there like 3 years in a row, and haven't done it in a while. But I do want to go to Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle, and I want to go to Thought Bubble UK, because those are like real comic focused conventions.
Yeah, Thought Bubble is just I've not been myself. Ricky's been plenty of times, but Thought Bubble is just one of those ones. It just takes over the whole town.
Cool.
And it's just
it's fantastic. It's just one of those weird ones that, and it's funny. I would show you because if my camera had worked, but on my desk I've got a stick man drawn by Jim Mahfood. Because it's just this silly joke that we do, and Jim did this really good one, and it's bigger than all the other ones. All the other ones are like a playing card size, and this one's like A6. So it's just sat on my desk, kind of like looking at me. But that's it. You go to a bar in well, it used to be Leeds, but now it's in Harrogate on like this Friday or Saturday night, and you're just like, oh my god, there's Kieran Gillan over there. There's Sarah Pacelli sitting right next to us.
One year they were I couldn't go, and they were in the pub, and I said, if you see Sarah Pacelli or something, just say hello. It's actually Sarah Pacelli. Actually, you just got me saying the wrong then. And she actually, her and the Baby Ruth Studios guys was sitting across from Ricky and our two friends, and asked them to take a picture of them. I was like, that could have been me.
But magical. Yeah, and I kind of knew that Emerald City was coming because that's the one over your way I want to go to. Like, I'd love to go to San Diego, but not for like comics. That's just for like the culture, like geek culture. I'd love to go to more something like Emerald City Comic Con, because you see the guest list that they have, and it's like so comic orientated that it's just like, I would love to go to that convention. I want to go to Seattle as well, but so kill two birds with one stone.
That would be cool if you do get the tables. I know that from our experience when we were vendors, you could apply like straight away with Thought Bubble. So I would say just throw your hat in straight away.
All right, I'll hop in as soon as I have some books to sell.
And I think it'll be worth it as well. I think you'll do well.
Thank you.
And the link is in the chat again from the disembodied voice of Ricky. So we normally do some fun questions as well. So I've been trying to think of some, because Adam normally does them, and because I've been kind of sat behind like a disembodied voice. I've been nodding along, but you obviously can't see that.
I thought you were going to say nodding off then.
No, I've been nodding along with, and it's just like, because you can't see me, you can't get that cue that I'm going to say something, so I've kind of stepped back. But
a raise your hand feature in Discord.
But so one of the ones that Adam normally does is a versus question. He's probably got one based around your characters, but I'm gonna beat him to it. Oh, right.
I got a better one than you, but go ahead. You go ahead.
No, go on, because mine isn't very good.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I just brightened up my screen because I couldn't see.
I was just gonna go. Oh, go on.
Oh, right, okay. I was gonna say, because it's been so while, I had to Google the characters because I remember the names. Who would win? It's usually a versus fight. A question. Versus fight? All
Okay,
fights
yeah.
versus fight. Who would win between Phony, and Smiley Bone? In your personal
Oh,
opinion.
oh, jeez.
But of course we will tell Jeff Smith because we're friends with him somehow.
I think it'd be Smiley Bone
Yeah.
because he's the only one that like kind of knows what. He's the one that's like outside of the chaos enough, but he would win like unwittingly. He would just be doing his thing, being a goofy guy, and then he'd win.
Almost out of the fourth wall, almost aware of everything that's going on.
Yeah, yeah.
I do love the Bones. They're oblivious to everything, but the fact that they can make money from any situation. They're just
Yeah.
shysters. I mean, they're just three snake oil salesmen that are just gonna
Yeah.
eventually just end up at the end of a rope, I think, if they're not careful.
Hmm.
I mean, everyone else, Thorn and the rest of them, is great. The story that actually goes around them is just fantastic. But I do, there's something about that. I don't know if you've we'll go back to the questions in a moment. I do recommend it if you know of the brothers Hernandez, Jaime Hernandez and Beto and Gilbert. They did
Uh-huh.
a super influential comic book. Genuinely worth noting down. A comic book
Note it
called Love and
down.
Rockets.
Love and Rockets. I have heard that name.
Jaime did the not the most successful, the most well known. I actually nearly wore the T-shirt today, but you'd just see like a white T-shirt, it's a bunch of police officers, and then two of the characters running past. It's again just like Bone. It's one of those books that's really hard to define because it evolved, and it's a living, breathing comic book as well. He's been doing the comics. They've been doing the comics since the 80s, and now the
Wow.
characters are in their mid, late 40s, early 50s, and they've lived. Even though the comics sometimes on a hiatus, the characters have grown and developed and aged, and
Cool. Cool.
genuinely nothing like it. So I'd recommend
Wow.
that.
I'll have to look that up for sure. You said Love and Rockets, right?
Love and Rockets, yep.
Okay, yeah. I'll check
The
that
Girl
out.
from Hoppers specifically is a big old trade. That was really good. My other question is, who is your comic book crush or crushes? Doesn't have to be comic books necessarily as well. If you're
Like a
not,
comic book character or comic book writer?
I'll leave it open.
Okay.
Very
Oh, geez.
telling.
Um, uh, let's see.
Actually,
Trying to
saying
think
that,
of
I've never even thought of that myself. I've got particular comic book creators that I probably have crushes on.
yeah, yeah. Man, I don't know. I have like a lot of my favorite comics um have female protagonists, and I don't swing that way, but I like want to be like those girls. So I don't know. But I'd say probably Simon Spurrier as like a writer. I really like his work,
His
and
ears
I
just
would love
suddenly
to.
pricked up, and he's just like,
Yep. Yeah, I love his work. The
hmm,
Spire is one of my favorite comics, and I just really appreciate that he focuses on self-contained shorter stories a
hmm.
lot of the time, and I really like the subjects that he likes to explore. So yeah.
Yeah. When you said that about like creators as well,
Yeah.
the people like Joelle Jones and Marguerite
Mm,
Bennett and Jordie Bellaire. I mean, you feel like it's them in the comics, and you can't help but kind of
yeah.
have that sort of warm feeling for their name as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, Joelle Jones's work is just Oh, and Bilquis Evely as well. Um,
What was
I'm
that?
reading Bilquis Evely. She's doing the Supergirl comic book at the moment.
Oh, okay, okay.
Um, it's just nuts. If you want to check out an illustrator as well, another one of those ones that you just kind of love to see the work of is Abigail Lawson. She's done a lot of stuff for DC, but she's done a lot of illustrations for Netflix as well and things like that. So I mentioned that name because I kind of link sort of your style with hers.
Oh,
Um,
thanks. Yeah.
but it's worth checking out.
I'll look her up. Hillquist Everly. Oh,
Okay. Well, I'm gonna ask mine, seeing as anyway,
Yes, do.
and I was gonna go the other way and go with the Hellboy one. So Hellboy or Etrigan, because I couldn't think of other demon off the top of my head quick enough. Because it could have said Demon Detective from Invincible, but that is just basically Hellboy.
yeah. Sorry, say the question one more time.
Who would win a fight between Hellboy and Etrigan, the demon? If you don't know him, it's fine.
Yeah, I don't think I do.
You chance that
remember.
then. He's a rhyming sort of anti-hero from. He's bounced between anti-hero, hero, and villain in the DC universe. He's a big old yellow-skinned, fibery thing.
Bad on my superhero tree.
Yeah, that's fine.
I picked Hellboy because I like him.
Yeah, I think it would be an interesting one. Actually, I know you have to take our word for Etrigan's kind of strange. I would probably go Hellboy, to be quite honest.
Yeah, he's got a big stone fist to punch things with.
Have you read I picked up the collected editions, even the omnibus editions. Have you read those yet? Have you read all of the Hellboy stuff? Sorry, Ray.
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm. Not like all of the expanded universe stuff, but like
the core.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at
Same
Etrigan. I wanted to see what he looks like. Etrigan.
You're gonna be unimpressed now. Doesn't wear trousers. He looks like Robin.
New heroes do.
Yeah, he looks like Robin if he hulked up but turned yellow.
Also has like the fin things that Abe Sapiens got going on.
See, it's more fitting than my brain intended as well. So, so what are the plans once the Kickstarter is successful?
It will be.
Yeah, we're gonna put the positive into the universe. So, what are the plans once the Kickstarter's out? Next book already being planned, or are you just going to do a tour of this book kind of thing and go out to cons as things start to open back up?
Once I have a physical book to sell, I do want to take it around to as many conventions as I can. I don't know when things will open up, so probably waiting for that time, I'm going to be working on my 13 Light Years Away comic story. I hope to have a pitch ready for that. I want to send it to Image Comics and see if they'll pick it up. That's my main game plan right now.
I'm guessing, again, you've written it and illustrated it yourself. So I mean, those are the things they really look for. I don't know if you've checked their pitch documents, but it's basically, if you can show you can do it, they're happy to take you on.
Yeah, that's why I like Image so much, is that they support creator-owned content like that, and yeah, it would be a dream to work with Image. That's the current, like, the next step, I guess. But I also am trying to pick up as many illustrating gigs as I can to get my feet a little bit more wet in drawing actual comics for other people and working with other people, because I'd love to wind up drawing things for other writers as well. Like I don't always have to be the one that's creating everything. So I'm trying to like work up that portfolio too. I'm working on an anthology right now. I'm drawing a 10-page comic for an anthology called Another New World. It's by Cobalt Knight. They did a Kickstarter for their last anthology, which was called A New World. So they're doing Another New World, and I'm going to be featured in that.
They're going to do a whole new world, and they'll all be Aladdin-based. Really quickly before somebody else did. That's the level of my humor.
So where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Instagram is the best place, even though Instagram is lame. I'm at ray.allen.art. And I am also on Twitter. I'm Ray Allen Everett on Twitter. That's Ray, R-A-E. And then also on Facebook at Ray Allen Art. Those are the three best places. And then there's my website, which is rayallenart.com.
Which, if you try and link to anything, just tells you that you're breaking the law.
Yeah. Don't try it on Facebook.
Let's see if
It pops up on
Twitch
Twitch
likes
now.
it.
We're at a new arena that they're building. They're still currently building. We're going to be there for next year, and it's our first 2-day event. I tried linking that to, and it's very temperamental about whether that breaks rules too. So it's not just your website; it's the place we're showing our show at. Occasionally, Facebook doesn't let us like us letting people know. It's great.
Yeah, that's super great.
Got all the links down there.
Sorry,
was
I
gonna
got a bit
say-
lost on your art then. It's like, ooh, that's nice. I
That's
like
what you
that.
want to hear.
Yeah, really check out this website. I'm dropping the link in now into the chat. But yeah, it's
I do like the way you approach your designs, as obviously coming from an illustrated background. I love seeing. It was another reason why I wanted to do the Kickstarter as well. Was you got 37 pages of book of story, and then all the extra stuff.
Yeah.
I like picking up single books, but it's cool when you pick up a trade, and you get all the concept art in the background, in the back, and so it's cool to pick up a single basically, and then getting all the extra stuff with it too. So.
Yeah, because it is a self-contained story. It's a one-shot comic, and so I wanted to show all of the work that went into that, and I thought people would find that interesting. So I'm glad that you think it is.
Only my opinion again, people, but you know.
I hope you trusted enough to go check out the campaign.
Like, no. You led me astray before. Yes, but thank you very much for spending some time with us.
Yeah, thanks
Hopefully
for having
Dune
me.
will be just as exciting. I'm a bit wary about that one. I want to go see it, but I don't want to hate it.
I know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how seriously I can take Zendaya as a serious character.
I know. I like her in Spider-Man too much.
Yeah.
As MJ.
Yeah.
And but she looks fantastic at Shani. But
It is, yeah.
yeah, I've been trying to get through Dune so many times through books. My friend got me for my birthday one of the TV adaptations for Children of Dune. And I'm like, it's just
He's just so dense.
yeah. Like, what is he
Yeah.
saying? What's that refer to? Why does he say a sentence there? Does that
Yeah.
mean anything? Do you have to Google it?
Someday I'll work my way around to reading Dune, but
This is
got
where I
nothing
would,
else.
if we had ad sponsors, I would go. You could get this on Audible.
You can still do it. Just
Yeah.
the voice will come from nowhere. We'll be like,
Use the hashtag not actually sponsored SCGC.
So are you guys launching a convention? Are you doing a convention? Wait, you are. You're preparing
Yep.
for it.
Yeah.
So is it going to be
Show.
in person then?
yes, yeah. We've
Oh.
done two virtual
At the
ones.
moment.
Yeah.
So it's strange. Because like last year we thought we started to plan, and it was more like we started later than we normally would have, but we kind of knew that it wasn't going to happen. So it's like, yeah, let's book in some dates, and then let's hold off on announcing anything or going out to too many people. And then by the time we were going to go live with it, it was like, no, we're going.
It's kind of like
virtual.
that. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. We'll do it then. Okay, we'll do it. No, stop. Don't do it.
Yes,
We,
but this year it looks as if we're going to. In Wales, currently we still got mask mandates, so it'll be mask wearing indoors as it stands right now, and they're also bringing in a vaccine pass. So like vaccine passports in Wales, not in England but in Wales. So you will be expected to have a vaccine passport to come through the doors. Because
Ricky's not telling you that. Like, no, we're not expecting you to turn up. A lot of our prospective punters are worried, and we're trying our best to reassure them that we're doing everything we can. So
because safety is priority.
We've done. This will be our 7th one. We've done 2 virtual ones before this, which one was 24 hours long and killed us.
If you ever want to have some fun, visit our YouTube. Just look for Swansea Comic Gaming Convention, because we haven't got enough subscribers for the / yet, / SCGC. But if you want to just hear people going crazy, there is from our 24-hour stream, there's a video of us playing Mario Kart at 6 in the morning, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. It's not something I would recommend when you're very sleep deprived.
Yeah, it was to the point. When you're playing a video game and you want to play the game, but you're so tired, and suddenly you just drift off, and you just go forward, and it was just us crashing into walls because we were just driving straight. And we'd done nearly 24 hours where we hadn't dropped an F-bomb or anything, and suddenly it was just, oh, who cares? It's 6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, it was just blue, and it wasn't even us. It wasn't even me or Ricky who are so bad about doing that. It was our friend Sam. Just went, and it was just like, okay, free reign to do whatever we want now. So
Floodgates are open.
But we genuinely hope the next time we see you is on the top billing of maybe Emerald City or hopefully True Believers. We'll be able to meet you in person then.
Not True Believers, Thought Bubble.
Thought Bubble. True Believers is Cheltenham. True Believers as well, perhaps. There's a great one in Cheltenham, which is also known for horse racing. But there's True Believers, is a smaller one, but it's just fantastic. Thought Bubble would be fantastic for you, I think.
Yeah, and or seeing your name on top of an image book as well. So
yes, hopefully soon.
So
Great.
Check out Ray's work on her website, and I've just dropped the Kickstarter link again, so make sure to back the Kickstarter. You've got 28 days to do it, but if you do it right now, you get a cool early bird sticker. I'm making hand gestures and people can't see them.
I was wondering why you were. Yeah, I thought you might be doing that.
So you'll get a sticker, an early bird sticker. So make sure to head over to the Kickstarter and help that make its target. But thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
And feel free, if you've got anything else that you want to plug, reach out to us on Twitter, or if you just want to come back on and talk about Dune.
Yeah,
that could be an hour or so long. It sounds a bit weird, like we're dragging this out. Normally we go next week, and that's a nice clean shear off, but because we're not really doing anything on Twitch so regularly, we don't know what we want to say. We will be back on Twitch at some point. We've got a Pathfinder campaign we got to finish at some point. I'll probably have died by that point from my injuries, but not my injuries. Okay. But, thank you all for watching.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Make sure to I'll put all of Ray's links into the description when we add it to YouTube. So click on all of those links. Also check out our YouTube, Swansea Comic and Gaming Convention. Since you're there, give us a like and ring the bell and all of the things that the kids say. Then buy tickets to our convention. Tell us that you come in. So that's info@scgc.com. .org.uk. I don't even know my own website. Look. So go and buy tickets for our convention. It's going to be 2 days in the new arena. So you could tell I'm a bit rusty. But until next time, I'll probably finish Pokemon at some point. So until next time, bye.